What's up, everybody? Back with another Professional Picks NFL weekly prediction video. We got me, we got Sliwa. Let's jump into the games in week 14. Before we do, taking a look at our week 13 card, the lock, the Giants +2 hit. I thought they should have won that game anyways, but we'll take the tie, Sliwa. The Jets, despite allowing a lot of yards, or despite getting a lot of yards, could not take down the Vikings in that potential trap game. So good pick there. Lamar Jackson going down in the first quarter really hurt our Ravens bet, but still a positive day with Jacksonville and Detroit over hitting. So let's see if we can replicate these good numbers here in week 14, Slua.
Let's do it.
First game I like here to talk about is Cleveland Browns after like a dominant defensive performance against the Texans facing the Bengals in Cincinnati after a big win against the Chiefs here. I'll let you start off with what you think here with the spread being 6 points at home.
Yeah. So first off, I'm surprised. I don't know your picks, but didn't necessarily think you'd go with this game. Uh, I don't know if you're playing the over or what here, but this one is in Cincinnati. Last time out, the Browns won at home by 20, and just really not even a close game at all. Looking into the matchup, Deshaun. When you take that much time off, he did not look that well, but I'll be interested to see how much he improves from game one to game two. I'm looking more at Cincinnati here. In their last four games, they've averaged 31.5 points per game since their loss to the Browns. I would lean Cincinnati. I do think they're going to win this game. I think they're hot, but I don't believe in them enough to necessarily side with the 6 point spread here because the Browns are a good team. Like looking at that first matchup, they won by 20.
Yep.
But I do think the Bengals win this one here. The offense is hot. They've looked really good, especially after beating the Chiefs at home. What do you got here, Roach?
Yeah, I think those are all great points. And I look at this matchup, especially coming off a win against the Chiefs. You say, how did the Bengals drop this one at home against the Browns? I think they're going to win this game too. But I like the way the Browns, play the Bengals, and I think they're a tough matchup for them. I looked at this line and I thought, like, having the Browns kind of like dominated the Bengals. At least I know they played them this season and won by a lot, but lately I look back and they've won the last six straight against the Bengals here. So it's just the way that they control the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense that really gives the Bengals struggles there. So that's the reason specifically that I like the Browns here. It's not a ton about what I just saw from these teams last week or even through this season. It's the type of football that these two teams play. I think it really leans in favor to the Browns. And so I'm not taking the +6. I have like a three-leg teaser, so I think +16 here. It's probably a lot safer. But I just think the Browns have been playing the Bengals well for the last three seasons, despite who their quarterback is. They've proven that, top caliber, even above average quarterback play at times is not what they need in the recipe to beat the Bengals. They can do it with the run game alone, seemingly. So Bengals with not one of the top, even above average run defenses. So you saw it in the Thursday night game earlier this year where Chubb ran over him. I'm sure the Bengals are going to do their best to stop that again, but now the Browns have that added wrinkle in Deshaun Watson, who got a little bit of a tune-up game against the Texans last week. So Deshaun Watson's my big concern here. See, he's got to play obviously better than what he did against Houston, but I think that he can get a stop after shaking off the rust here. And I think +16 in a divisional game, especially when the Browns have owned this matchup, is relatively safe.
Yeah, you had those extra 10 points, and
It's going to help.
I I kind of like them +6. I don't think they're gonna win, but I think it's gonna be a close game.
Close game for sure. I think so too. So +6 here, getting to get teased later. Uh, Patriots here. I think both these teams coming off a bye, 2-point favorites on the road in Arizona. Patriots 6-6 right now, battling for a playoff spot in a very competitive AFC East and AFC in general. Cardinals, who have had a lot of woes this season, try to just get another win and possibly hold off the firing of Cliff Kingsbury, who I'm surprised is still there, frankly.
Yeah. Looking at this matchup, just right off the bat, I've liked the Pats pretty much all year. Better defensive team going in this matchup. And have you seen some of the Patrick Peterson and Kyler beef?
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
I
I
love
love it.
it. I love
I
it.
love it.
I think Patrick Peterson's right. Watching Kyler Murray on the sideline, he is a good player, but he kind of wears down as the season goes along, and he definitely, at least from body language type, doesn't seem to be a great teammate. Um, they're at home in this one. They've played okay. I mean, the Pats are kind of on the downturn, so I don't have a great read on the matchup. I know the Cardinals secondary is pretty weak, but we'll see if the Patriots are able to take advantage of that. Just on paper, though, I like the Patriots defense a lot more, so I'm leaning with them in this one.
Yeah, I like the point you bring up about Kyler Murray and his body language and just him being selfish, or at least allegedly. But like I look at him in the sidelines, and he does the same thing that Aaron Rodgers does when his team isn't going well. He like sulks. He's on the bench. He's not riling up his teammates. He's sulking, and like that speaks volumes about a person, and then also has a tangible impact on the team and the way they're playing. This is supposed to be the leader, and this is what your leader is doing, then that's contagious. So I think that does not certainly help these Cardinals woes that they've been having. They're just from a characteristic perspective. But then going more towards the numbers that we like to drive our analysis here, looking at overall team grades, Cardinals are the fourth worst in the league. And you look at the numbers in different categories, they're not really above average in just about anything. They struggle in a lot of aspects of the game. The one thing they're actually solid at is pass blocking. So, Matt Judon, who's having a great year getting after the quarterback, might be a little bit limited. But otherwise, these guys don't have much going for them. And like you said, Patriots, good defense. Patriots just play tough football. And that's about the exact opposite of what you can say about how the Cardinals play. They don't want to run the ball between tackles. They don't want you running the ball between their tackles. They play a very West Coast style, new age offense. And more often than not, just same like the Lions kind of do when they play the Patriots. But the Patriots are built to beat those teams that like to play that fluffy style of offense and play laid back defense and let you run all over them. I think, again, with the solid defensive play they have and just running the ball mostly for this Patriots team is going to be why they win. Better coached, I think, just better team football. I think when you get, again, a Cardinals team that's at fourth worst in the league overall, there's a lot of holes in this team. Bill Belichick normally takes advantage of those. I think 2 points is too little, even for a road team. But 3, I probably would stay away from this. But 2 points, I really like that one. So I'm on the Patriots -2 here.
I like
Next,
it.
yeah, I think just tougher football team. And Patriots are a team. If you're going to give me them in a close game, I'm probably going to less than 3 points. I'm probably taking them more often than not, just
You
because
throwing this one in the teaser?
this one's not on the teaser. No, this was
Okay. I was gonna say I like this one a lot as is.
-2. Yep, don't want to tease across 0 there. Even with a lot of points, I like them. I think they'll be fine here. This spread might be surprising to a lot of people with the Lions being favored. I can see like looking at this like
Kind of
what is
like
going on? The wheels are turning in your head. I can see Lions are -1 here at home against the Vikings. And the Vikings having a great season. Lions offensively having a great season. I think next year they're going to look really solid. But I'm surprised to see them -1 here at home. What do you think about this one? Initial reactions, just the spread and the game in general.
I mean, obviously, just looking at the spread, it looks like a very easy Minnesota Vikings bet here, +1, one of the best teams in the NFL, and PFF completely agrees with that too. The Vikings are top 10 in offense and defense, fourth overall, and then you got the Lions who are 23rd in the league overall. I mean, the
Crazy.
Vikings are just a much better football team. So obviously Vegas knows something that we don't.
Yeah.
Uh, the Lions have been a pretty good football team lately, though. I mean, obviously not at a 10-2 level, but they've averaged 32.5 points per game in their last 4, even a tick up from the Bengals. But they've won 4 of their last 5 games. Like statistically, the line doesn't make sense according to PFF, but the Lions are playing good football lately. Jameson Williams came back, only played 6 snaps last week. So there's a lot of things they have going for them, but just like their defense isn't going to stop anybody, especially
Yeah.
not Dalvin Cook. I mean, we saw the Vikings put up a number, or at least play pretty well on offense against the Jets, who are top defense in the league. The line doesn't make sense. Um, like I would love to, like you got to fade the trap again. It just doesn't seem smart to put money on the Lions.
This game is too trappy for me to even take because if one thing, if I take the Vikings and I lose, I know I lost to the trap. And then if I take the Lions and lose, I say, well, of course the Lions didn't win this game. They're playing the Vikings. They're amazing. I like the over here. The Lions defense has improved the last few weeks, but it's still it's the sixth worst in the league. So they're not very good on defense in general. And the big weakness for this Vikings team, and you saw Mike White do it, is their secondary. Patrick Peterson is a 10-plus year player in the league. Cornerbacks don't normally last long after they turn 30. This guy's like 33, 34, and he's still the highest graded cornerback on their team. That's not necessarily a good thing that this NFL journeyman, Patrick Peterson, who I love, is the best cornerback. So the coverage is really suspect in compared to everything else for this Vikings team. That's the real weakness that they have. The only glaring thing that might prohibit these guys to make a Super Bowl run. Obviously, we're seeing the Lions put up points at a pretty high rate. And then again, like you said, the Lions or the Vikings are able to put up a very respectable amount of points against this Jets defense that has suffocated most teams. So I think I'm going to keep riding the Lions over until it fails me. But this seems like a great matchup between two high-powered offenses and two lackluster defenses, especially in the secondary. Could be a recipe for a lot of points.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't even think about it, but definitely be a high-scoring game. But
Right. Sometimes those divisional games are tougher. But this is gonna be a good game. I'm really intrigued to see who ends up winning this game because it's basically saying coin flip because of the home field advantage. So very intrigued here. Next up, we got the Bucs, who are struggling, taking on the 49ers in Santa Clara, who at the start of the season, the 49ers were the most well-positioned team in terms of quarterback depth. Now, all of a sudden, they're starting, a rookie quarterback that's taken last in the draft. And this is a 49ers team that certainly has a talent to win the Super Bowl. You don't trade for Christian McCaffrey if you don't think you got a shot in the midseason. So what do you think about this game? You notice an extremely low total. That's because the Bucs offense hasn't been able to put up many points all year long, and their defense, like the Niners, is absolutely stifling. So obviously going to be a very low scoring affair. I think honestly it might be lower than 37.5. But what do you like in this game?
I mean, yeah, obviously looking at the total, it's going to be low scoring. The Bucs have struggled to put up points all season, and obviously Niners got a top defense. I mean, Brock Purdy looked pretty decent actually in his
Yeah.
debut. At the same time, though, I don't see the last pick in the NFL draft just stepping in and start. He played a lot of that last one, but I don't see him stepping in playing another great game. He was the last pick of the draft for a reason. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but like looking at the total, it's going to be low scoring. There's not going to be a lot of points put up on the board. I like Tampa a lot at plus 3.5. Um, this game will probably be decided by a field goal. I could see it being a
That's
lot
what
of
I'm thinking.
picks in general, but like at the same time, even if the Bucs lose tonight, they're still first in the division or tied now with the Saints, I believe, down to the
Yeah.
tiebreaker. But
If the tiebreaker is the divisional record, I can't remember what it is at the moment between those two teams. They just flashed it up on Monday Night Football, but
so actually, yeah, I think if they lose tonight, technically move down to second in the
yeah.
division. But I know it's getting late in the season. They haven't turned it around yet. It's not going to be a full turnaround, but there's too many veterans on this team in general, uh, through the defense, offensively. I don't see Tom Brady missing the playoffs after sacrificing everything he did. It's halftime right now, and they're
That'd
down
be
a
so
touchdown.
tough. That
I,
would be so tough if he doesn't misses the playoffs in this division
Yeah,
after
so, I
giving up
mean,
his
there's still a
family.
lot on the table. I mean, you got an opportunity here. You're going up against Brock Purdy. I think Brady takes advantage of it on the road. I see him winning the game, but I like the 3.5, especially with the
Yeah,
hook.
especially with the hook there. I like that a lot. Three, if it was just plus three, it's a way different story. But 3.5, I like much better. And honestly, with the total this low, a tease here, which we don't have, but something that maybe you can consider too. Like, there's no way the Niners win this game by 10. There's no way Brock Purdy beats Tom Brady in this Buccaneers defense by 10 points. So something that I might consider, even just personally, throw in there because this low of a total, like if they were to win 10 by 10 points, it would need to be like 25, 15. So I just don't see it happening. And I think there's going to be even less points scored than 37 as the Buccaneers, you see them struggling against the Saints defense. This Niners defense is every bit as good, if not better. Bucs defense is the fifth best in the league in points per game. That's going to be tough for a guy like, Purdy to win against. But I will say this, for any quarterback, like any team that Brock Purdy could start on, I think this is the most well-equipped team to win on right away with very little, if not any experience, because they have so many weapons. They're very well coached, especially on offense, great defense, and they are run first, run second, run third football team. So he got inherited to a really good spot, all things considering. But let's see what he can do against obviously Tom Brady, who is really good against rookie quarterbacks just in his career in general. But I have not seen this level of offensive output from Tom Brady in a long time, if not ever. He's really struggling. So we got the Jets and the Bills in Buffalo. Possible revenge game for the Bills as the Jets were able to take them down earlier this season. You can see the spread implies that Vegas does not think this game is going to be as close as it was last time. Even though I was, pretty impressed with this Jets defense against the Vikings. They should have won the game. A slightly better quarterback wins in that football game. Not even a good one. A slightly better quarterback wins in that game. But that's a situation the Jets find themselves in with Zach Wilson being benched for Mike White. Josh Allen still kind of dealing with a little bit of that elbow issues as have certainly impacted the performance. And I think a large reason why the Bills aren't, have as high as a record as they have. But what do you think about this one as they play in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the matchup, I definitely agreed with Buffalo being -9. Felt like Josh Allen would just blow them out, but I mean, I have just been a little bit too biased against the Jets all year. I could see them keeping this one close. Obviously, they won the first matchup, and there is that play of revenge here. But the Jets are a good football team this year. Their
Yes,
their
they are.
defense is great. They have the second best coverage in the entire league. I think they match up pretty well with the Bills in that aspect. I mean, you saw it in the first matchup. I think the Bills only put up 17 points, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember right. But
I think Josh Allen threw a couple picks that game too.
yeah, but I think they could keep it like you're getting 9 points here. That's a lot, especially if your defense is that good. Obviously, Mike White isn't the best, but he can at least pass the ball. He needs to cut down on his turnovers. If
Mm-hmm.
he keeps it to one turnover, I love their chances. But I mean, obviously that's not a given.
Yeah.
But the Buffalo Bills defense has been a little banged up too, though. They're
Yes, they
slowly
have been.
creeping down in like the defensive just categories in general.
Yep.
So I mean, this matchup isn't as like big as it may have seemed, at least on paper.
Yeah, I agree. I like all the points you said there. And I think having +9 with the best defense in football right now is it seems great. I personally don't think that. So I think that's a great bet. The +9 in general. I don't think the Bills lose this game, so I'm taking the Bills -9 and teasing that down because I do think it's gonna be a close game, but I don't think that Mike White comes into Buffalo and wins this game, especially as the Bills coming off a bye. Correct?
That sounds right.
I don't
I mean,
think they played
I don't
last
remember
week.
them playing this last week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they come off a bye, so a little extra time to prepare against a team that beat them. I'm sure they were studying film past 2 weeks and ready to win this game. And again, this is an incredibly tight divisional race. The Dolphins losing the Niners was huge for their divisional chances now. The Bills are now back into first place in that division at 9-3 versus Dolphins being 8-4. So they're a full game up. So getting close to the end of the season, these are must-win games against divisional opponents too at home. I like the Bills here, and in that teaser, this is just gonna be a money line bet. So I think I like that as well. And then just to save suspense, Leo, it's a very similar
Yeah,
spot. You can see where I'm going here with the
I
30
already
that
know.
teaser, and that's the Chiefs -9. I'm surprised the total is this high because the Broncos can't put up any points, and they do have a really good defense. I would
Yeah,
be shocked if Russell Wilson, the way this Broncos offense have looked this year, after scoring 9 points against the Ravens defense that isn't honestly, I don't think it's as good as the Chiefs. The way the Chiefs have been playing this year, I'd be shocked if the Broncos couldn't beat the Chiefs this game. So I like the Chiefs and the teaser here. Don't really need too much
oh, yeah.
analysis on my end. But what do you think too?
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not too interested in this game in general. I think yes, the Chiefs are pretty much a sure thing to just win the game straight up. Um, I'd just say I'm pretty interested. I mean, I know you mentioned the good defenses, but I'm interested to see how Patrick Mahomes does against the best secondary in the league. Um, I definitely think the Chiefs still win, but I'm just curious to see how he does. I don't think like the Broncos have pretty much shut down every team. I'm sure there's been one here or there, but just in general, I want to see how Mahomes stacks up against
Yeah,
them.
I do too. For the guy that everyone's saying now is the MVP favorite, and I think for good reason. Um, and this is the first time they play in the season. I know they play in a couple of weeks too, but this is definitely going to be the toughest defensive matchup the Chiefs have seen this year. So for a team that I think is, and I remember you asked me a couple of weeks back, I think they're the team to beat in the NFL. I'd like to see how they match up against these guys because this is certainly a playoff caliber defense, not as much on offense. The big thing here for me is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to get a lot of cracks at this Buffalo defense. They might get stifled at first, but you give the ball Patrick Mahomes enough times, he's going to put up points. I think you see a lot of punts from the Broncos and that ineptness on offense, and that's really the reason I like the Chiefs here. But this is definitely, divisional matchup on the road. It could be a scary thing to bet, but come on, you get -9 here. Like, I think it's gonna be close. I do think it's gonna be closer than -9. I wouldn't take this.
Close scoring, but yeah, I don't. They can't lose.
I,
They
I
can't.
they just can't. They just can't in my mind. I don't know. We'll see. It almost concerns me a little bit, but it just feels like they can't do it. So that's part of the lock.
I
So
like I like the Chiefs -9. Like if that means anything.
okay. That gives me a little more confidence. I'm happy about that. So Patriots -2 here. I think we both like that. I think that's Monday Night Football too. So that'll be a nice way
Yeah,
to end the week watching some prime time. Again, the minute this Detroit team is made for the over, and we're profiting off it. Let's keep it going here. Again, that big deep. There's no holes in this Vikings team except that secondary. And for a Minnesota team that has been, or Detroit team that's putting up points at will, I don't think they got 30-27 games out of the question. They put up 42 points themselves last game. Like, I like, let's just keep doing it until something goes wrong here. Bucks +3. This is the Sliwa play of the week for anyone wondering. Again, I like this spot. I think that line could even get more close to like 4 or 4.5 with the way they play, which I think is good for us. Because I think people are starting to sell on the butts when we're buying them this week against Brock Purdy. And then this 3-team 10-point teaser here. Bills Chiefs just win the game. Browns don't get blown out. It always looks good on paper, but again, the Browns have had the Bengals number the past 6 matchups, and again, the Bills at home against the divisional opponent they lost to. I like that. And then the Chiefs against a team that just cannot put up points simply. So I like that these spots a lot. I think we're getting, as I'm looking at these videos week in and week out, like I'm getting more and more confident in our picks that we're having in the cards. Like I look at these, I'm like, this is a good looking betting slip here.
I agree. I feel like we've built out a process between following PFF, trying not to just ride the same teams or the popular picks. At least staying away from some traps
Yeah,
generally.
I think the combination of I think we got a good read on these teams watching so much week in and week out, avoiding the trap games, hitting our spots in the teasers through key numbers is a big one too. Just like -2. All you gotta do is win by a field goal. +3.5. Just don't lose by more than a field goal. Like it's starting to bet on key numbers and not taking like bad lines too. So I'm liking it a lot. Moving on, we got the Ravens traveling to Pittsburgh here without Lamar Jackson, who is week to week. He's not officially out at this point, but I really don't think he's going to play based on just the tone of the Ravens organization. I'll tell you what I think really quick here, Sliwa. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game. Now, 3 points. If it was 3.5, I would love the Ravens. If it was 2.5, I would love the Steelers. 3 points is exactly what I like here. You see this low total here too. Some good defenses all around, some lackluster, offenses, but especially with how one-dimensional the Ravens offense was with Lamar Jackson, it's going to be even more. The passing game is going to be even more at a deficit without him, and so I think that the Steelers will take advantage of that. They're going to get after the quarterback, but really stack the box and limit the run game here. And I think Kenny Pickett, he's impressed me with just being a rookie quarterback and some of the throws that he's been making. And I think he's the X factor, at least on the Steelers offense, that will give them the jolt, I think, to win this game.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you on this one. I agree with the spread. I think it's pretty fair to assess these two teams as even minus Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But like you mentioned, the Ravens they just don't have enough weapons. I mean, they're really carried by Lamar on offense. Like
Yeah.
their top receiver right now is like Duvernay, who's also just like the punt returner, like speedster. But I mean, you got like two tight ends who are probably your best pass catchers. Um, you're asking a lot from your backup quarterback to step in and do the things that Lamar does. And then looking at the Steelers, Pickett, no turnovers in his last 4 games now after just racking up the picks.
Yeah. It's a big deal. I didn't know that.
And so yeah, when he, these last 4 games no turnovers, they're 3-1. So if he protects the ball, I mean they're a good team, and that was the problem. They just had awful quarterback play to start the season. They have a
Mhm.
solid defense. I mean, it's not amazing, but they very solid defense, very solid offense. I mean, you got T.J. Watt back, so like the Steelers are a solid team. Pickett's getting better. I like them a lot, -3.
I actually, yeah, I almost want to put them on the card. I'm gonna stay away from this because we don't know enough about this Ravens team um, with their backup in. But I starting to really like the Steelers in this spot here. I think they're in a prime position to get another win and help Tomlin get closer to 500.
That's
Um,
right.
so this is a game. This here, I wanted it so bad. I wanted Miami on the card, and this is just such a trap game. Though I can't do it because I don't think that the Chargers are that good. And I look at PFF, and the Chargers are the fifth worst team in the league overall. And they're like, okay, well, how are they only 3-point dogs here? Maybe I'll regret it. But I looked at it right away on like Sunday night, just saying, what are the lines? I'm like, Miami only 3-point favorites here. I think they're going to blow them out in my mind. Like, I don't think the Chargers have a chance at stopping these guys defensively. And the Chargers have certainly had their struggles on offense here and there, especially with wide receivers injuries that they're getting back though. But third worst defense in the league, and they're like very close to being worse than that here. So they have a lot of struggles. Their one redeemable quality is they have a good coverage versus like Miami's run game is not the strongest, so they kind of match up well defensively, especially with guys like Derwin James. They're really helping this back end of the defense. But this Chargers defense is bad. This Miami offense is insane. And while they didn't look amazing against the 49ers, that's because they have one of the best defenses in the league. So my initial reaction says I love Miami to actually beat down on the Chargers here because I think they're in a way different class of talent. Again, the Chargers are the third worst team overall. The Dolphins are the sixth best team overall. Like that's got to be one of the biggest disparities we've seen all season in terms of differences in overall ranking. And to be favored by only 3 points makes no sense to me. So this could be a trap game that works out kind of like the Vikings if I were to pick it, but I'm gonna stay away just because it doesn't make enough sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the spread's definitely trappy. I like the over in this one. I know it's a 52, it's a bigger number, but you mentioned the Dolphins have a great matchup against the Chargers, just banged up defense. And then
Yeah,
the
really banged up.
Miami actually has the 25th ranked secondary in the league. So favorable matchup for Herbert. Keenan Allen's back.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams could be back this
I
week too.
think he's trending towards it because he's been like game time
Out
decision
for
for the
like the
last couple
last
of
couple.
weeks. I think it's
So
got to be the time he steps in, and they're in a time where they need him to. They
they're
6-6
500
here.
now, yeah.
Yeah, they could really use another win.
Yeah, so I think getting their weapons back, I think just see a lot of points in this game. So I like the over.
I
Over.
like that too. If I that one makes me a lot more confident than this trap game. But again, I think the Dolphins put up 30 plus this game, which helps both the spread and the over that we're talking about. But again, I just liked it too much, honestly, to put it on the card because it just didn't make sense. Here's a game that was really close to adding to the card too, with the Titans hosting divisional rival Jaguars in Tennessee. I like the Titans to win this game by more than 3.5 here, just because I think they're almost just due. Like a team this good as the Titans, they just win games they should win. That's why they are the record they had. That's why they're 7-5 and winning this division right now is because they beat teams they should. And so Jaguars had not looked very good of late. They really struggled putting up points against this Lions defense. I said they were getting better, but still, Titans defense is one of the best in the league at run defense and stopping them. So I think they'll get a lot of opportunities to hit the ball in Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry's hands, more importantly, to put up points this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't feel strongly enough about this one
Mm-hmm.
to bet it, but I mean, yeah, the Jaguars just lost 40-14 to the Lions. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's probably got to be one of the lowest numbers, if probably the lowest number, up against that Lions defense.
I'd have
Also,
to think, yeah.
and then you look at the Titans' top 10 defense, solid across the board in coverage and against the run this year. And I don't know what it is, but there is something to it. I just remember seeing some stat. The Titans defense plays better at home. Um,
They have a real home field advantage there.
play
Yep.
at home. So, yeah, I like the pick. I think Tannehill, Derrick Henry. It might not be as big of a mismatch as I would initially think. Jaguars are decent in the run defense, but yeah, I think the Titans win this one. I think they hold the Jags to like 14, 17 points.
I'm thinking the same thing. I think you're just going to see a good overall team performance from the Titans this game. Again, they're a good team. They're always winning that division for a reason. Um, so after cutting Baker Mayfield, the Panthers traveled to Seattle as Sam Darnold's going to try to take on this Seahawks team that is, they're a playoff team at 7-5 right now. So I'll keep mine quick, especially as we're running lower on time here. I had to think the Seahawks team that is a playoff caliber team, certainly, and the record proves it. I think the performance overall proves it. And the way Geno Smith's been playing too has been great. Puts up too many points for Sam Darnold in this inept offense of the Carolina Panthers to win. So I was also really close at 3.5 here for Seattle. If it was just -3, I'd be all over it. But that hook is what kept me off those last two games. But got a hard time seeing this Panthers win this game. But this lower total, like the Panthers have a good defense. I expect to see the Seattle offense struggling in the first half and kind of hit their stride in the second half to pull away in this game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have for sure had the Seahawks on the card, but the Panthers are off a bye. That just kind of scares me a little bit, especially
I
after
think
seeing
so.
how the Seahawks played against the Rams. That was a game they could have lost, even with
Mm-hmm.
Wolford throwing 2 picks, no touchdowns. It was a little scary to see that from the Seahawks. Obviously, they're a little bit of frauds, but we love them.
Yeah. They
But
definitely do for mean regression, but but probably less than we think.
yeah, but they're a fun football team. The offense puts up points, so you're in any game,
Yeah, I mean,
especially
Eagles look
against
good.
Sam Darnold first game back. I like the Seahawks, but they just scare me too much.
Same, I agree. This is a game that I was thinking about teasing the Rams, but I can't. I put enough hope in Wofford, though. 6 points favorites on the road for this Raiders team that is not very good. Um, it just doesn't make too much sense to me. I know it was a big win against the Chargers, and that was kind of something I saw coming with that trap line. But again, we just talked about it. The Rams almost beat Seahawks there. I think a lot of this divisional rival at home. It definitely helped in their favor. But the Rams still have a really great defense, top 5 in the league. I think this Raiders team, who has really led the way with their run offense, I think 6 is too much for me to bet on, but I don't know the Rams well enough to put +6. So it's a game I'm just completely staying away from. I think the Raiders win this game in a very close game, but the reason they do win it is because just the run game that they have in Josh Jacobs' performance.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too interested in this one on paper,
Yeah.
and really
Two
since the
bad
Stafford
teams.
injury, haven't looked at him much.
Me neither.
I would just need to see if Aaron Donald's playing or not, to be honest, and that basically decides my pick here. Because I know with them, the Rams statistically have the #1 rush defense in the league.
Mhm.
He's in. They got their front seven. I like the Rams. He's not going with the Raiders.
Yeah, the Rams have, I'm looking at it right now, far and away the best run defense in football. And I
the the Rams do.
The Rams, yeah. So definitely suits them well against the Raiders. Or again, I haven't watched too much of them. They haven't been worth watching. And I don't, and just in terms of entertainment, I really don't want to be betting on two really bad teams with a backup quarterback to throw in more picks than touchdowns. I think the second to last game we got here. Eagles, 6.5 point favorites going to the Giants. Big tie, I guess you could say, against the Commanders is they should. I think the Giants should have won that game. Held off. They couldn't hold off Heineke in the fourth quarter, mounting the OT comeback, but then ultimately neither team could put the other one away here. Eagles looked really good again for another week in a row. What do you think here? Because this one, I can see arguments for both sides. I personally am leaning one way, but I want to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, looking at PFF, the Eagles are obviously near the top of basically every single stat, whether it's pass offense, rush, like running the ball, and then even on defense too.
They're
And when
top
you
five at
flip
like
it,
everything.
yeah, and when you flip it, the PFF has the Giants at like the bottom of just about every category, even though they're 7-4-1. Despite that, like the Giants, they don't get the PFF love, but they're just that clutch team
It's
with
Brian
Dable.
Dable. He says
Dable,
he's not a numbers guy. He's a football guy.
exactly. But I mean, they didn't win last week, but they still covered the +2 at home. I would like this at. I mean, just buy the extra half a point, get them +7. I like them a lot +7 at home. I know the Eagles are great, but I'm not. I don't think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl like
I
at
don't
all.
either. I don't either. But that's
Like, I know
besides
they're
the
a really good
point.
team, but yes, I'm just saying like I know they're dominating everybody, still playing great, but like there's still that like thought in the back of my mind like they're not like the top team yet, or at least I'm not sold on them yet. I
I'm
know,
not either. And since I really don't care to talk about this Dallas game, they're favored by 17 points. I'm going to stick on this one for a little bit. The reason I don't think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl is because it's not often you go from a team that misses the playoffs entirely to like stepping up and being the Super Bowl favorite or large contender and winning it, because these players don't have the experience of sustaining wins, learning how to handle winning. The old Vikings coach Mike Zimmer, there's like four steps in the NFL. You gotta learn to compete, you gotta learn to win, you gotta learn how to handle winning, and then you learn how to win a Super Bowl. They're like skipping step three. Not They haven't learned how to handle their winning. They're just going from winning to Super Bowl. That you don't make that jump in the NFL if you're following what I'm saying there. So I actually think I would, if I had to lean on one side, I would like the Eagles here. The guys get, like I said, they're like top in like every freaking category. Um, but the divisional matchup on the road makes me scary. So again, it's a good reason to stay away from this one. I really have nothing to say about this game, Sliwa.
this game's awful. I'm not gonna be watching a minute of this.
The Cowboys are going to win the game probably by a lot. That's my analysis.
Take them -20. More
Honestly,
the merrier. Throw it
I
on.
love it. And I love, no, I've been saying it week in and week out. I think the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC, and they keep proving me to be at least close to being right. The Eagles are making it tough, but now the 49ers are out of that running without their quarterback. So it's going to be, I cannot wait to see the Cowboys play the Eagles again in the next couple of weeks. Before we get to the review, don't forget we got prize picks. Sign up with code PROPICS for a deposit match. But here's a review of our cards, Sliwa. I'll let you talk about your Bucks game real quick before I run through the other picks that I had.
I mean, you guys know the reason already. I don't know what's going on in the game as of right now. They're down 7. I like it even more. Probably wait till after the game even. This
13
line's
3
gonna
as
get
of
a
right
little
now.
better, but give me Brady. They're still in the playoff hunt. They have a great opportunity. If Brady misses the playoffs with every team going with the losing record in that division, like it's just I don't see it. It
He's
might
got a
still happen.
call.
There's still a good chance it happens, but I'm not betting on that. So I like the hook against Brock Purdy.
I honestly like that a lot too. And if he misses the playoffs in a losing division, he's got to call it. He has to. With the
Yeah,
defense that he has, if he's not able to put up points there
roster.
in games. So I have the Patriots -2 against the Cardinals team that I think is just not as talented, not as physical is really what it is, and disciplined. All these things. It's just they're not a good football team. Detroit has been the over team of the season. I'm going to keep riding that, and then just give me the Chiefs to win against the really bad offense of the Broncos, Bills to win against a bad offense of the Jets, and the Browns, who have won 6 straight against the Bengals, to just not lose by 17. So 3 scores. Keep it within a 2-score game. But that is the video. Best of luck watching the games, predicting the games, and betting on the games in week 14. I think we're really hitting our stride here in our picks. So definitely consider tailing these, but the locks have been hitting of late too. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in week 15.